Good afternoon, and welcome to the patient panel. Your voices need to be heard. You are here to tell your stories. The doctors are fabulous. They have a lot of information to offer us, but don't ever forget you have even more information to offer them and to each other. So today's focus is learning more about some of our patients' challenges. Facilitating with me is Hadley Ferguson. She is the patient representative on the MSA Coalition and has been dealing with her own set of challenges and struggles with her MSA diagnosis. With that said, I'm going to turn this over to Hadley. She will introduce our patient panel, and we're going to go through some questions. So sit back and listen and enjoy.
Thank you, Kim. Can you hear me in this?
No.
No. I thought that was on. Can you hear me now? Okay, yes. So I would like to introduce our panelists. Thank you all for participating today. And to my right is Kathleen Moneymaker. And next to Kathleen is Rhonda Ogans. And to my left is Dennis Shard. And we really appreciate all of you coming to talk to us today. I am going to be asking a series of questions, and we'll go in that order of introductions. Each person will have a chance to answer the question, and they may feel like passing it on, and they may feel like answering it. So the first thing that I would like to ask everybody, because it's the first part of our journey, when were you diagnosed, and what was the diagnosis process like for you?
To do that in a 2-minute or less is a major accomplishment. I was initially diagnosed in 2015 with what was thought to be a stroke. And then in July of 2015, I was initially diagnosed with Olivo-Pontine syndrome, likely, and ended up going to Mayo twice and was definitively diagnosed with possible MSA, which is the best they can do because, of course, the only true way of determining whether it was MSA is by autopsy of the brain. The process was very convoluted, but not nearly as convoluted as many as I have heard. I was lucky to have somebody that recognized, sadly to his own self, that this is probably what I had. And I think I'll leave it there. It was a very easy process compared to many of the people that I have spoken to.
We'll actually pass it to
that's right, to Dennis.
Sorry, Dennis.
Thank you. Yes. Hi, I'm Dennis Shart, and tomorrow I'll be 72 years old.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I was first misdiagnosed with Parkinson's in 2012, but I actually felt something was wrong in the summer of 2011 and told my then primary care physician that I was having balance issues. He referred me to an ENT who did an MRI, and then thinking I had an inner ear problem. The MRI was clear. I was scheduled to change health plans to Kaiser beginning in 2012. Decided to wait until I had a new primary care. I was scheduled for a cornea transplant in May at Kaiser, and during the pre-op, I told the doctor about my balance problems, and he said I should go see a neurologist. I also noticed I was having a range of motion problems with crossing my legs and putting on my socks, but didn't mention that, and he sent me to a neurologist. A week later, performed physical examination, did the battery of movement test, and then informed me that I had Parkinson's. Well, I never had tremors. In 2 years, I'm sorry, but a year later, I started taking Cinemet. And then in 2014, I asked for a second opinion. Went to a doctor in Kaiser, and she diagnosed me with MSA. and weaned me off the Cinemet, but I felt so disoriented. When I got weaned off of it, I was put back on it. I'm still on it to this day. I've been told in my last 2 neurologists that I have cerebral type MSA.
Thank you, Dennis. So for the second question,
Rhonda has it.
oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Rhonda.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Rhonda Ogans. I was diagnosed with MSA on May the 22nd, 2018. I had to come to grips with myself and say, well, hey, I've had a good life. I've lived a good life. I've had a good life. I came to grips with myself. And I told myself that I had a good life. I've lived a good life. I've had some good men. And I'm just going to let the world know what's wrong. I got on Facebook, not just to your friends. I did it the worldwide and let them know. Go to YouTube. I came down, was diagnosed with this disease called MSA, multi-system atrophy. Didn't nobody know what I was talking about. And out of all that big, huge mass emails that I sent out to all my so-called friends that I don't know, I didn't hear from about 6 people. And that's how I came to grips and said, well, hey, I got to do and live the best I can live until time is up. And I was accepted already.
Thank you, Rhonda. So my second question for everybody, which type of MSA do you have, and what are a few of your major symptoms? How do these symptoms impact your life?
I have MSA-C, cerebellar, the ataxia type MSA. And some of the symptoms I have, the most major symptom is fatigue. It is absolutely and utterly inexplicable to anyone else how a person could be so tired, so deeply to the core tired, and with very little activity or maybe no activity at all. I have issues with urinary frequency, sometimes incontinence, unpredictable, but usually at night. I have ocular migraines. I have a real struggle with REM sleep behavior disorder. I've had a couple of sleep disorder physicians help me with that, but I have to stay encased in my bed. I don't get to sleep with my spouse. I'm encased in pillows and to make it difficult for me to get up and out. And I wake everybody in the house up yelling multiple times a week at least. Ataxia, walking, standing is very hard. I just started using my walker that I'm sitting in about a week ago, and it has really, really improved my ability to get out and go. And let's see, the symptoms impact life in that people at work are like, oh, you look so good today. You're sure getting stronger. Look at you walk. And you're broken. You're broken inside. You know, most of what is seen early is not visible. And you can look like a whole and healthy person, but yet you're taking, you know, literally a handful of medications to deal with all the symptoms that are making you look like you're a wonderfully healthy person. So, Dennis.
Thank you very much, Kathleen. Okay. I'll hold this for you.
Thank you. Okay, as I said, I had been told I have C-type MSA, and my most significant challenge has been walking and balancing with or without assistance. I also have extreme difficulty getting up from a prone position. out of bed or from a fall. I've had one fall where I tore my left rotator cuff. And that was a couple of years ago, and I just lived with it because you'd have to be immobile for a couple of months to get it repaired, so I just live with it. But I know that getting up from a prone position is very difficult. I'm dead weight when I'm in bed, so we have actually a transfer bar. It's a floor-to-ceiling pole. People look at it and think it's a dance pole, but it's not. So it's helped my wife, who doesn't have to pull me up out of bed anymore. So it's good. So that's one of my recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. And Rhonda?
Or we can just do that.
Okay. All right. Okay, I was diagnosed with MSAC, ataxia. My major symptoms were falling, walking like I'm drunk, walking into walls, walking into people, and just uncoordinated, falling backwards. And I didn't know what was happening to me. And my husband went back to my primary care doctor and told her I needed to see somebody else because I wasn't right. So she made me an appointment to see this at Kaiser's San Leandro, to see this urologist. And I was with him, and he worked with me about 2.5 hours and had me to do all the turning around and the walking and the this and the touching your nose and moving your fingers and everything else. And after he finished questioning me and everything, he said, you know, what I'm looking at is you got a disease, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, and it's called MSA. So I hadn't heard of it, and he sat down and wrote everything out for me real plain to understand it. But that wasn't enough for me. I went home, got on my computer, and I'm just like a sponge. I just absorbed everything that I could get my hands on and read about MSA, excuse me. So that's why I'm here. This is my first conference, but it won't be my last.
That's great. Thank you, Rhonda. Okay, so this goes a little bit with that, but maybe this is even thinking outside of symptoms, but are there any challenges that have come up for you? And how have you addressed those challenges? And it could be symptoms, or maybe it could be adjusting, whatever you think of as how this has created a bit of a challenge for you. How have you dealt with that?
The biggest challenge for me was trying to hold down my job. I'll be retiring on October 4th, and it's way more of a bittersweet retirement than I would have thought. I'm fortunate enough to be somebody who got paid for the reason she was here on this earth, and to have dropped from 5 days a week to 4 days a week for a year and a half, then to 3 days a week, which made no difference, or 3 days a week for about a half a year, then 2 days a week, which made no difference at all, to 1 day a week, which has still left me depleted. I forced myself to retire because you can't go any lower than 1 day a week, and it was ridiculous to keep trying. Heat intolerance has been a very limiting factor for me. Debbie and I went to Hawaii and could not be out of doors at all. I was so concerned for what it would be like if the AC in the car went out, because it would be a very terrible, terrible event for me. And I got a hospital bed to help with positioning for aspiration, and it also helps me to be locked in for the REM sleep behavior disorder. So those are some of the challenges and some of the means of dealing with them. The walker being my most recent, it's going to set me free.
Great, thank you. And Dennis?
Well, one of the most significant challenges I had was trying to accommodate my wife as a caregiver. And we actually moved to Idaho from San Francisco Bay Area. Fortunately, I was retired after 33 years with the San Francisco Police Department, so I didn't have to deal with work, but we moved up there in 2016, and we have also hired a caregiver, a CNA. He's very good. He's going to take me to my doctor's appointments and take some of the burden off her. It was a big decision for us. We were both born and raised in San Francisco. And I've been a social person all my life. And family and friends, they understood that, and they've been very supportive of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Rhonda?
My biggest challenge is my blood pressure and my glucose. My glucose was really out of whack. Now it's perfect. My blood pressure has been out of whack since May. And what I mean out of whack is not the new reading where you got 140. 160, 178, 183, over 69, over 70, and all like that. And I've been taking my blood pressure medicine religiously. They've changed my blood pressure medicine. We raised the dosage. Sometime it'd be okay the next day, the next afternoon. If you didn't take your medicine and stuff all over again, it'd be the same way, 178. And I don't want to have a stroke or a heart attack, but I was told that I'm a walking time bomb. So I've been trying to take it easy. I've been trying to relax and be more at ease. But just the fear knowledge, not the fear knowledge. My biggest fear about this whole thing is the aspiration. Because I have had food and drink go down the wrong side, and you get the coughing and everything, and that is my biggest fear and worry. I'm through.
Thank you, Rhonda. Okay, so I am wondering how each of you communicate with friends and family about your MSA experience.
With my immediate family at home, which is my wife Debbie and my adult daughter Jasmine, I think I communicate pretty honestly with them about how I'm feeling. About, like, just this morning I was telling Deb, for what this is worth, I don't know, but I'm having these weird flashing things going on with my eyes when I'm watching the television. They just kind of blink, and anyway, I can't even hardly explain it, but that's the kind of thing I do. You get real tired of saying, how are you? Tired. How'd you sleep last night? Pretty good. You feel rested? No, I'm tired. So that's kind of how it goes. We try to address, deal with a lot of humor in the house, watching movies. I spend a great deal of time watching TV because I am so exhausted when I get home from work. I literally go from front door to PJs to being helped to bed at like 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night. Hopefully that will all change when I am retired and I can hopefully recharge my battery. And I'm not looking through rose-colored glasses about that. I've heard that when people retire, they do tend to have a regeneration, so I'm hoping for that. With my more extended family, I am so glad that my mother is dead, so she doesn't have to deal with this, because she would be devastated that this happened to her daughter. My sister comes to visit me. We have frank conversation. She's a person that has multiple homes and is all around the United States, so and Europe, so she comes frequently to see me as she's going from here to there. I have two other brothers that I am less in frequent contact with, but still close, and some very good friends. I think friends dropping away from, once you quit work, you sure want to stay in touch with everybody, but it doesn't happen. So communication, I think, is reasonable.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, how do we communicate with friends and family? We moved to Idaho, as I mentioned, to be next to my other daughter, Keandra. I mean, Keandra's here, but Jody's there with my 3 grandkids and her husband, and they're 2 blocks away. So they understood. They actually came down and helped us make the decision to move. And the friends that I have, I've actually traveled by myself with this scooter. And I've had friends come up and pick me up at the airport and take me to wherever I'm going. So the friends and family support is unheard of. It's really nice. You really need that.
Thank you. Oh, did you have anything else? Okay. Rhonda. Actually, I'll keep it.
Friends and family support is what you need, because my family came back together last weekend, and I am so proud. I got my daughter back, my son, and my husband always been there, and he is just taking over, and he calls the coalition and asks questions and talk and to find out how we can make things better, for going ahead. That's it.
Thank you. So one thing that I personally find difficult, and maybe in some people it's easier and some people it's not, but I'm just curious, is it easier or difficult for you to ask for help? And if you do, how do you go about asking for help?
I would say I don't have any difficulty asking for help. I've assured my family, caregivers, my loved ones that I am not going to be stupid, not going to be proud. I'm going to be sensible and reasonable. I use a bath bench just because why risk a fall? I used a cane early, and I'm obviously ready to graduate from that. Safety is really important, and I work in a healthcare setting where I see so many elderly people fall forward or backward and end up with brain injuries that cause them to lose their independence for the rest of their life, if not their even semblance of who they are, warehoused away in a nursing home somewhere. Safety from falling is a huge, huge big deal. So I'm all about not falling. So I've told Debbie and Jasmine both, you don't have to worry about me being afraid to use a cane or a walker or looking ridiculous or feeling old. I feel independent with devices that help me stand upright and be secure. So I think that's a gift.
Wonderful. All right, Dennis.
Okay. Well, as I mentioned, I don't have a problem asking friends for help and family. They're there and they understand, but I never had such a great respect for handicapped people since I got the disease. And I have a handicap placard, and I don't park in handicap spots unless I have the placard. So I really respect the ADA requirements and rules. Really come a long way. But also, I was at a hotel the other night, and I was supposed to get up at 5 a.m. to drive down San Francisco, and I reached over to turn off the alarm, and I slipped out of bed. I didn't get hurt. I just was on the floor. It took me 2 hours to get up off the floor. Couldn't call the hotel because I had the safety latch on the door. So anyway, that was a lesson learned. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. And Rhonda?
I don't have any problems asking for help. During my working years before I retired, my employment title was to help people. So I know exactly, if you don't know how to ask for the help, you'll never get the help, and you'll never find out where all the different programs and the benefits and then nothing is. So you got to find out and speak up to ask for it. And as far as me letting my friends know about my disease and everything, I didn't bite my tongue. I let everybody know right away. My husband said, "Why are you telling them people?" I said, "Because I'm going to get worse, and I don't want them to find asking, what's wrong with her?" You know. But thank you.
Thank you. So my next question, and Rhonda, I know you were just diagnosed several months ago, but you may still have a feeling. Sometimes when you're first diagnosed, then you really have a feeling what it is when you're first diagnosed. If you were talking with a newly diagnosed person, what is one thing you would want them to know?
Is that typically the path to diagnosis is a lengthy and complicated one, and to not be blameful or antagonistic toward physicians along the way that may have not been able to put A plus B plus C together to keep going up the sequence. It's so complicated. And to try to find a local MSA support group to become a part of, that is probably one of the single most wonderful things that has happened for Debbie and I, to be in community with people. Scary, yes, at times, because you come in as the person that they think sometimes Debbie's the one with MSA. It's like neither one of us really look like, whoa, what's wrong with you? But you see all along the spectrum of folks that were like myself a year and a half ago, not having any trouble walking, not really having too much going on, and yet having people with a longer disease trajectory who were having so much difficulty speaking I couldn't understand them, to being in wheelchairs, to be, to say, wow, is this where I'm headed? But we're going to each have a different path of getting to the same place, which is off this rock, and to just find a community to share your experience with, and it will help.
Thank you. And Dennis?
Okay. One thing I would tell a newly diagnosed person is stay positive. I know it's very hard to do, but you got to stay positive and stay active also. I mean, I've got some symptoms that you obviously can see, but even though I have the symptoms, I still don't let them get me down. I don't get depressed, but I stay positive, and hopefully we'll come up with a cure for this horrific disease. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rhonda?
When I'm talking to somebody, whether they are newly diagnosed or already been diagnosed, I want to try to find out as much as from that person as I can, because when I was researching and doing all my really heavy researching, I couldn't find out certain steps. Like, you got a picture in this book over here where it shows this man how it progresses over the years. I couldn't find none of that out. And I just wanted to find out, well, what happens at the end, you know? But now, since I found out what happens at the end, I've accepted it, and I'm just going to live every day as positive as I can.
Thank you very much. I'm curious if any of you are involved in any advocacy work, and if you are, what is it that you do?
Not in any formal advocacy work, but I do consider explaining what MSA is to any new individual that happens to ask what it is, or educating the physicians I see about it as advocacy of sorts.
Thank you. And Dennis?
Yes, I'm not involved in any advocacy work, only with the MSA Coalition. We support it. We were in Nashville last year, and we plan to be in Orlando next year. And we'll continue supporting the advocacy of the MSA Coalition. And as far as activities, I still drive, believe it or not. And I took a driving test last year and got an excellent rating. When I'm sitting behind the wheel of a car, the symptoms don't bother me. So that's amazing what your brain can do. Thank you.
That is. Okay, so I have one last question. Oh, Rhonda, I'm sorry. You know what it is with this?
Yes,
we've
that's all right. But anyway, as far as the advocacy, that's all I did all my working years, through the hospital system and the state and the county. So I don't mind telling nobody and spreading the word about MSA. I've been doing it already. And I just got diagnosed, and it's just, I just want people to know, because you know, you got people out there, they don't know what's wrong with them, and the doctors don't know. So I'm going to spread the word.
Thank you.
Okay.
So my last question that I had for everybody is, what are some things you do to help you stay positive as you deal with the daily challenges?
I invite humor into my life at every turn, sometimes at my own expense. I have until just recently used my work to help compartmentalize MSA so that I really don't have to think about how it is first thing in the morning and how it is at night and through the night, that I had a reprieve from all of that when I was working. So soon that is going to go away. A huge part of my life, my identity is going to go away, and I will be adjusting to not working for the first time in 49.5 years. And, well, I worked before then too, but as a nurse, 49.5 years. And to spend some serious time and energy trying to drop into this pretty devastating disease, because I've got it very compartmentalized right now.
Thank you. And Dennis?
Okay. In closing, I would like to say that we all need to work together to find a cure for this disease. Research grants are vital to that. I've also planned to donate my brain after I pass, but hopefully we'll come up with a cure before I have to do that. I'd like to thank the MSA Coalition Board for putting on this yearly conference, particularly Cindy Romer, Larry Kellerman, and Hadley Ferguson. I would also like to thank all those who put out a fundraiser for their loved ones to raise funds for research grants. And then there's one person who is taking on a project to help get awareness about MSA out there to the public. It's my dear friend of over 40 years. He's Miss A.C. Scott, who's here, going to be here tomorrow. Larry set that up. She's going to be filming 2 30-second PSAs to air on her television network, BT, Blues Television Network. So thank her if you see her. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis and Rhonda.
I'd like for myself and everybody else with this disease to please stay positive, because you never can tell. It might be a cure for it next week. Just stay positive. And knowing that you're staying positive, that leads other people to stay positive, and you will be blessed eventually.
I can't thank you all enough for sharing all of your journey with your journeys with us, and hopefully this starts more conversation as you meet with one another. You can share with each other more about your personal experiences. This takes a lot to come up and do this, so thank you all so much for spending the time today.
Hadley?
Do we have time for...
Before we turn it over to Q&A, we can have a few extra minutes before we turn it over to Q&A. Is there anything personally that you would like to share? We'd love to hear from you.
For me? Well, I actually will get to share tonight, so I feel like...
But is there anything you'd like to add to this?
Well, I just would like to add that it has been an honor to be able to be part of the MSA Coalition, to meet all of you. I'm from Montana, and I haven't met a single person in Montana with MSA. And I'm touched by all of you, and I think this is a really special experience for us to come together. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
And do we have time then?
Yeah.
Good.
A few minutes.
I was
if
hoping.
There's any Q&A,
Does anybody want to ask a question of any of the panel members? We have one over here.
Have any of you used exercise to help yourself?
Me?
Yes.
I have not engaged. I have not engaged in too much formal exercise because I'm so exhausted. All I can do is work. So I try managing with my blood pressure up and down as well, to take the stairs at work no more than 2 flights up. I don't take them down because of risk to fall. And that's where I've been getting most of my exercise, but I've already contacted the community center in our area. I'm looking for Parkinson's disease specific exercise classes because I've learned from another member of our group that they are very, very helpful for patients for people with MSA. So I'm looking forward to exercising, definitely.
Rhonda or Dennis, do either of you want to answer that?
I'll pass it on.
Okay, Dennis.
Hi. Believe it or not, I used to be able to do a lot of public speaking in the police department, but because of my voice and my uncontrolled emotional, which is a symptom of MSA, I have a problem with it now. But I felt it was important to get up here and at least relay to you some of the things I've told you today. So we'll all work together to find a cure for this disease. Thank you.
Thank you. And do we have time for one more question?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure this is the proper forum, but I'm just curious if anybody on the panel or anybody in the audience has had it recommended to them to use marijuana.
Who would like to take that question?
Sure, I'll start.
Yes, my primary care has recommended it to help with the REM sleep behavior disorder and with general just settling. I was cleared through my work to be able to use it, but I found that I couldn't quite regulate the dose that I've learned that I'm an incredible lightweight. So I have a vape, and you can't exactly gauge how much you're getting in your puff. And I would get so woozy, I would be down for the count, so it would wipe out my ability to enjoy the evening. So I've decided to not try reintroducing it until after I've retired.
How about anybody else?
Oh, believe it or not, I tried marijuana, the non-THC type, and my son, Keandra's brother, John David Shart, who lives in Minneapolis, he came out, and he went to Washington and brought some back, and he gave me 3 drops on, was it Christmas Eve? I fell 3 times.
Low potent.
Yeah, it had the THC in it. So I don't use it anymore, and I had to cross a line to do that. But I was willing to try anything, so I would say that medical marijuana can be assistance. If you want to try it, go ahead, and if it helps, but just be careful.
One more question, and then we'll take a break.
I have a question here for panel, for all the people here. When we have a MSA, do you try to take the drug to raise your blood pressure and the Parkinson drug together? Does that help? Because I tried Nocera to increase my blood pressure, and I have to do it every day. Without it, I can't live. And then the doctor say you have a Parkinson symptoms. Take the same time take the Parkinson drugs. I forgot the name. Some kind of dopa. But yeah. But when I take that, the blood pressure I get dropped. I start feel dizzy, so I stop it. But I want to know, is anybody take both?
So I don't know if I can answer, but I can relate to what you're saying because I was taking levodopa. I have MSA or P, so I was taking that, and I got so dizzy that I actually had to stop taking levodopa. So that was what I ended up doing. But I don't know, is anybody else taking both levodopa and the blood pressure medication at the same time is the question. Anybody out there, somebody back there? And has that been working for you, or is your blood pressure still dropping with the levodopa?
Good question.
Yeah.
Really hard to tell because they changed so many of my medications at one time and increased so many. But I think it's more of I do monitor it, but I'm a nurse of 50 years also, and can get too obsessed with it. So I really go more so by the way that I feel, but I think I'm just so much more in tune to it that I'm so extra cautious of what my next step or move is going to be, that I can handle it better.
Okay. So maybe you guys can even chat afterward too. Yeah, I had to stop taking cinnamon.
Hi. The other panelists mentioned REM sleep and the marijuana use for that. I have a CPAP machine. I actually have started using REM Fresh, and it's a non-narcotic, over-the-counter melatonin, and it's continual release, and it helps me sleep 6 to 7 hours straight every night now. So it really is good. I would highly recommend looking at it. If it works for you, Larry, I sent it to him on his computer, on his iPhone, so REM Fresh. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all for your participation. Great questions. It is now 10:03. We're going to take a break, and we're starting back up again, I believe, at 3 o'clock.